Hello and welcome to Forging Titans. This is going to be the first Codex review. I have started to collect the Eldari, or the craftworlds, and I thought as a first off video I would do a first impressions review. Let's see the camera. I know the camera's not exactly straight, guys. Don't really want you staring down to my crotch. There we are. That's a bit better. We'll see how that goes. Sorry I can't get a straight angle. My desk does not allow that. So first of all, I thought I'd open up with this page, and we're going to do this in two parts. So we're going to do all the rules, the stratagems, the relics and that in one book, in one part. And then the second one, it shall be the war scrolls themselves. So let us begin. So first of all, we have the rules. So in here, it explains the faction icons key. So the first one, the kind of Illuminati-like symbol is for the Asunari. And then the line with the cross along, that is the Unaris. And then the last one with 3 lines and a line through the middle, that is the Harlequins. So basically, let's begin. So when you take a battle forged of this, which means if you choose craftworlds, for example, you cannot add any Unari or Harlequins into that detachment. So that would become a battle forged. So in the battle forged, units of Asunari and Harlequins detachments gain the additional abilities to better reflect how their armies operate together and wage war on the battlefield. You can find out about detachment abilities in the Battleforged Armies section of this Warhammer 40k core book. So you should already have that. You should all know about that already. If not, have a look at the book. And obviously it says you can use the stratagems, and then they have Exarch powers. So any units with an Exarch, you can actually do a upgrade on it, which is pretty cool. There's the chapter approved rules, and that is telling you what pages they're on. They're 112, 113. And then it says in here as well, relics, warlord traits, psychic disciplines, and then obviously the crusade and all that tells you what pages they're on. But we're going to start off with Asunari. So here it's saying the Asunari detachments gain the leader's war haste ability. Craftworld units of an Asari detachment gain the Craftworld attribute ability. Troops of an Asari detachment gain the objective secured, and leaders of the war host. You can include a maximum of 1 autarch model in each detachment. So basically it's saying 1 autarch per detachment. It does quite similar with other codexes like the Thousand Sons. You can only have 1 demon prince. Necrons, for example, you can only have 1 overlord per detachment. So let's begin. Craftworlds. So the Craftworld attributes. Okay, all Craftworld units, excluding the Avatar of Cain units in the Craftworld detachment, will gain Craftworld attribute. Find the Craftworld attributes associated with each Craftworld on pages 85 to 89. If you choose your Craftworld, if your chosen, I apologise. Let's start again. If your chosen Craftworld is not one of the ones listed on pages 85 to 89, you must instead create a Craftworld attribute for it, as described on pages 90 and 91. So if you don't like any of these ones, or you want to be more lore friendly and create your own Craftworld, you have an ability to do this in this codex, which is brilliant. Each Craftworld has an associated Craftworld warlord trait. So basically, if you choose this, if you choose one of these, you basically will get you'll be able to have a warlord trait with that, which is pretty cool. We'll have a find out now. And then of course there's the stratagems, which we'll go through, and then there's the treasures of the Eldari, which are relics. And again, if you have chosen one of the preset Craftworlds, you'll gain access to a certain stratagem and a relic. So let's start. I do not know how to pronounce these guys. This is the first of the Eldar codex I've got. So forgive me if I'm pronouncing anything wrong, but we have first the craft world Ulfwi. So, the attribute foresight of the damned. All aeldari are physically attuned, but none. Okay, that's the description. So let's go with the rules. Each time a unit with this attribute is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 wound roll when resolving that unit's attacks. So, basically, for example, where's my trusty rusty dice bag? Here we are. So basically, for example, oh come on, Shane. There we go. So it's wound roll. So basically hitting on 3s, okay, all hit, and then wounding, so all 3 2s. I can re-roll one of those wound rolls. Okay, brilliant. Okay. So each time a psychic test for this psyker unit with this attribute, if the first psychic test is taken for that unit, this turn add 1 to the result. So basically, for this turn, if you're the first psychic power you're going to cast, you add 1 to the result, which is pretty good. Not too bad. It's always helpful. Models with this attribute have a 6+ invulnerable save. Not too bad. Not great, but still an invulnerable save. You'll always be able to take a save. Each time a model with this attribute would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll a d6, and on a 5+, that wound is not lost. That's pretty good. It's always nice to have an ignore wound. It's better to have it than not have it. So that's pretty cool. Only for mortal wounds. So any smites, any abilities which there are some abilities in this that cause a mortal wound. In addition, you can negate potentially that mortal wound. Some pretty decent and easy to follow rules there. The Warlord trait is called Fate Reader. After you make a Strands of Fate roll on page 143, if this Warlord is on the battlefield, you can choose to retain 1 additional dice. So we've got that, but I haven't explained that yet. So let's go to page 143 and explain this. This is my first ever review, guys. It's going to be a little bit jumpy. So we have some beautiful artwork in this book as well. It's really nice. 143. There we go. 144. 143. So this is the Asari data sheets. So 143 is Strands of Fate. So if every unit from your army has the Asunari keyword and is drawn from the same craft world, excluding models with Afrain or unaligned keywords, then at the start of each battle round you can make a Strands of Fate roll. To do so, roll 6d6 and then retain a number of these dice, depending on the size of the battle you are playing. Okay, so we roll 4 dice. No, 6 dice. Does it say? Yeah, d6. You can roll 6d6. There we go. For combat patrol, you retain 2 of them. For an incursion size, you retain 3. For a strike force, you retain 4. And for onslaught, you retain 5. So, for example, let's do trusty rusty dice again. So, 6 dice, you roll them. Okay, the book isn't exactly not, but then we retain 4. So, I'll take one of these 3s out, and I'll take one of the... Actually, we'll keep them there for a second because I've just read along. This is a first impression, guys, so we'll put these dice results here. So basically, keep these retained dice at one side as a reminder of as a reminder of their results. You can make note of them for each instance result. The dice result allows you to manipulate a different type of roll during this battle round, as shown below. So any rolls of 1, you can use it as an advance. You can manipulate the advance roll. 2s are charge rolls. Psychic test is 3. 4 is a hit roll. 5 is a wound roll, and 6 is a saving throw. Okay, so that's not too bad. Does this mean that we go d6? Let's have a look. Before making any rolls of these type above for that unit with Strands of Fate ability, if any of your dice retained have a result corresponding to that type roll, as shown above, you have not been used to manipulate the roll in this battle round, you can manipulate that roll if you do so. If that type involves 1d6, etc., example, a hit roll, do not roll a dice. That roll is treated as an unmodified roll of 6. Right, that's good. So, for example, if we did the advanced roll and I retained the 1, I am going to advance 6, and it automatically 6 advance. This is quite good. I like this. If you want to save something, if you want to wound something, that is pretty good. It seems to be all the results are 6. So, that's good. So, that is pretty special. So, we have Shrines of Fate, we've got that. Okay, so that means in this, you can choose to retain 1 additional dice. So, I only have to get rid of 1. If I was this thing, so I'd only take 1 of the 3s away, and then I've got a pretty one. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 6. So I've got, that would be pretty good to have in a game if I had Strike Force. So then we'll go on to the relic now. The Goats of Al-Shazia. It's a psycho model only. The bearer knows 1 additional psychic power from the Runes of Fortune Discipline, which we'll get into later. Each time a psychic test is taken by the bearer and on an unmodified roll of 9+, that psychic power or psychic action cannot be denied. That's pretty big. So as it's said in there, we have a 6. We can have a 6 in there, and then we can say that's a 6, and then have the other result done. That would make that so you can't deny it, and that would be a very important psychic power. The Discipline of the Black Guardians is 1 command point. That is a stratagem. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase or the fight phase when you select an all 3 Guardians unit to shoot or fight until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So let's have a look at some combinations there. So Banshees, for example, they were hitting on 1 better. That's pretty good. Oh no, it's Ulfan Guardians. So it's the combat version. If you have the combat version, then they'll be hitting a little bit better. Sorry about that, guys. That's me making a very silly mistake when I've just read it. Right, so let's move on to the Aleatok. So I can't pronounce these words. I'm sorry, guys. So basically, their attribute is Field Craft. Each range attack made against a unit with this attribute, if the attacker is more than 12 inches away, the unit with this attribute is treated as having the benefits of light cover. That's not bad. That's always good to have a little bit of extra cover. Each time a ranged attack made against an infantry or biker unit with this attribute that is entirely on or within a terrain feature, if the attacker is more than 12 inches away, that unit is with this attribute is treated as having a benefit of dense cover. Now that's nice as well. That's -1 to hit and -1 to hit and +1 to the armor save. You can ignore any or all modifiers of move characteristic on infantry units with this attribute. You can ignore any or all modifiers to advance rolls made with such units. Wow, that is pretty. That's good. That's good. I really like that. That means any difficult terrain, anything like that, you're not going to have worries. And I think as well, anyone that makes -1 advance rolls or anything, that doesn't affect him on this with this craft world attribute. The Warlord trait is Master of Ambush. In your command phase, you can select one infantry corps within 9 inches of this Warlord. Until the end of the turn, if that unit is performing an action, it can still make attacks with ranged weapons without failing that action. So quite a couple of armies have got that, and it's always been quite good. So you can do, for a secondary objective, you can do your action, and then they can still get to shoot. Now, of course, I only get to shoot, but that's not bad at all, really. Seeming as there is quite a lot of shooting in the Eldari. I keep calling him Eldar. I do apologise, but they're Eldari now. Okay. So that's the first part of this Warlord trait. At the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, if this Warlord is on the battlefield, you can select one of a friendly Rangers unit on the battlefield and remove that unit from there. And set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from the enemy deployment zone and enemy models. If both players have abilities to redeploy units before the first turn begins, roll off. The winner chooses who redeploys their units first. So you can redeploy and get them into a bit of a better advantage. I've always found these quite tricky because it's so cool to do that, but then if you've got an army synergy, you're potentially taking them away from any buffs they get. but then it might be beneficial to take out a character, a hard-hitting unit to weaken them first off. There's a lot of possibilities with this. It's very careful. You just got to be careful to think of what you're doing. The relic is the Shift Shroud of Alansea. Any infantry model, while the bearer is receiving the benefit to cover, it cannot be selected as the target of a range attack unless it's the closest eligible target for that attack and its attacking model is within 12 inches. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I think there's better relics than that is, but then still, I don't know. Does this affect snipers or does that ignore it? But usually with lookouts here you get that anyway. We'll have to see about that one if I play this group. I will eventually try all of them, to be fair, to see which one I like before I make my own, really. Just to see. And then we've got the Pathfinder Ambush Stratagem. If that Rangers unit is in strategic reserve, set it up anywhere on the battlefield within 18 of an enemy unit, more than 9 inches away from enemy models. At the end of the phase, that Rangers unit can shoot as if you were shooting, but until the end of the phase, it can only target the enemy unit that was just set up on the battlefield. Yeah, so basically you can counter that. You can counter any of their deployments. So if they put a big blob of Terminators or Scorpec destroyers or anything like that, anything from Deep Strike, then you can automatically shoot with them, which isn't too bad. That's pretty good. And you have two sides of that. You can set up and then you can also counter offense. That's pretty good. I like that. That's quite a good one. I'm not sure about the relic, to be honest, but I'm new to Eldar, so I could think it's not that great and turn out it's the best one in the game. I don't think it is, but we'll see. Okay, so the Baeltan Craftworld, the attribute is Sword Wind. So each time a unit with this attribute advances or makes a battle focus move, that's on 142, we'll get to that in a bit, treat a roll as a 1 to 2 as a 3 instead. So that is, let's have a look at that now actually. 142. So battle focus. I really should have done more research and written down what I was going to do. So battle focus, here we are on page 142. This unit is eligible to shoot in a turn at which it advanced, but if it does so until the end of the phase, models in this unit can only make attacks with an assault or pistol weapons they are equipped with. And when resolving these attacks, this unit is treated as having remained stationary. That's pretty good. So you can advance stuff and get shooting. So Eldar at the moment seem to be a pretty fast army. I kind of knew that already, but like Eldari, I mean, and there's a second part. In the shooting phase, after this unit has finished making its attacks, unless it failed back or advanced, this unit can make a battle focus move. When it does so, roll 1d6 for each model in the unit and can make a normal move up to a distance of inches equal to the result, as if it were your movement phase. A unit that makes a battle focus move cannot embark within a transport model at the end of the move, and until the end of the turn, such unit is not eligible to declare a charge. A unit cannot make a battle focus move if it has arrived as reinforcements in this turn, and cannot make more than one battle focus move per turn. Brilliant. Okay, so that's that. Let's get back to the Baeltan. There we go. So that's the battle focus. So they are always treated as moving 3 inches, if not higher. That's the least they can do, which isn't bad. The Warlord trait is a natural leader. In your command phase, you can select one friendly Baeltan core unit within 6 of this Warlord. Until the end of the turn, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. That's good. That's good. I like that. That's a good little ability. And the relic, the Spirit Stone of the Alanflan. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce these words. I'm terrible. Built-in psychic model only. So another psychic one. The bearer knows one additional psychic power from the chosen discipline. Okay, a bit of a theme there. Once per psychic phase, you can reroll 1 psychic test taken for the bearer. That's quite cool. I wonder though. if you can roll it, and if you fail, you could use one of your dice to add something to the 6 to the psychic power. I wonder about that, but we'll find out. It'll probably be FAQ'd or anything if it's not already in the book. But I like that. That's pretty good. The Wrath of Shrines is the stratagem. Use this stratagem until your shooting phase or fight phase, when a built-in aspect warrior unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model with that unit makes an attack with an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores, 1 additional hit. So they roll. If you roll a 6, you get 1 additional hit. That's brilliant. I always like them. Exploding 6s, we call them. They're brilliant. They really are good. Right. So here is the Eiden craft world. I love construct. I love the wraiths, the wraith guard and all that. They look so cool, and the spirit seers are looking cool as well. So these guys are the ones that have a lot of wraiths in them. So the attribute is static endurance. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this attribute, add 1 to the combat attrition test. That's not good. That's good. Each time an attack is allocated to a model with this attribute, if the attack has an armor penetration characteristic of -1 or -2, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Wow, that is good. So it's not they ignore -1s or anything. You literally, so -1s become AP nothing, and -2 becomes AP 1. Ooh, that's good. I like that. That's my favourite thing so far, because I have Thousand Suns army, the Necron army, and that's got quite a lot of AP, and this craft world effectively can take a lot of their weapons out of commission. So they're gonna get, so that's gonna be quite tough. That's gonna be quite cool to face. It'd be quite tough and maybe frustrating, but I mean, I play Necrons, they're frustrating. I play Thousand Suns, they're frustrating. So I seem to have a theme for frustrating armies. So let's have a look. So at the Warlord trait, the Enduring Resolve. Each time a Warlord would lose a wound, roll 1d6, and on a 5+, that wound is not lost. Okay, so we're getting a theme for this one is that they're hard to hurt. That's a good Warlord trait. I always like an ignore pain. So that is good. So let's carry on. The Relic of Citronid Gnome. I know there's people in the comments now screaming at me because I can't pronounce words. Of Eiden. So basically, any model in this craft world in your command phase can select 1 friendly spirit host unit within 9 of the bearer until the start of your next command phase. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in that unit. If that unit is a Wraithguard unit, it gains the battle focus ability. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. And then the relic is Wraithsight. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase or fight phase. Select one spirit seer model from your army and 1 spirit host unit. Until the end of the phase, that spirit host unit is not considered to be within range of the spirit seer's model. It's considered to be in this. They're considered to be in the range of the ability of the spirit seer, which is good. So you can have them quite a little bit far away, and then boom, they've still got that ability, that buff, which is not bad. This is my favourite one so far. I can imagine it being one of the most popular ones. So we'll see. Yes. Next, moving on, is the Sime Han craft world. Their attribute is called Wild Host. You can reroll charge rolls made for this unit with this attribute. Nice. Units in this attribute are eligible to declare a charge in the turn it fell back. That's good as well. That is solid. That's a solid little thing. That's quite good. The Warlord trait is Wild Rider Chieftain. So add 1 to this Warlord's attacks characteristics. If this Warlord is eligible to perform a heroic intervention, if it is within 6 inches horizontally and 5 vertically of an enemy unit instead of 3. So it can charge, it can basically do what the Space Wolves do, and they go 6 inches instead of 3, which is handy. Each time this warlord makes a heroic intervention move, it can move up to 6 inches instead of 3. All other rules for heroic intervention still apply. The relic is the Talisman of Tie and Char. Each time a bearer makes a melee attack, if the bearer has made a charge move or heroically intervened this turn, add 1 to the strength and damage characteristics of that attack, and improve the armor penetration of that weapon by 1. That's good as well. And I have a feeling these are more the biker units, so you'd add a lot to the biker units. That's quite good. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack, or if it's heroically intervened or charged, yeah, that's pretty solid. This is another one I like. It's pretty solid. The Warriors of the Raging Winds. So this is their stratagem. If this stratagem at the start of your charge phase, select 1 biker unit from your army until the end of the phase. That unit is eligible to declare charge even if it advanced this turn. Boom. That's good. So basically, this is the high mobile army that people will really like. So that is all the default craft worlds. My favourite 2 are the last 2. But here's the thing I probably will be doing a lot more of, and that is far-flung craft worlds. If your chosen craft world does not have an associated craft world attribute on pages 85 to 89, you must instead create their craft world attribute by selecting the far-flung craft world attribute on the list here. Unless otherwise stated, your craft world has 2 far-flung craft world attributes from the following list. So we've got quite a big list here, so we'll go through that. So the first one is in the footsteps of the ancients. Okay, you cannot select this far-flung craft world attribute if you have selected any other far-flung attribute. So basically, if you want to choose this one, it's just one, because this is, by the looks of it, has 2 abilities. Select one of the following craft worlds. Okay, site. If you select this attribute, you can select a second. Select from the following craft worlds. Ooh. Okay, so basically you can take stuff from the other craft worlds and add this. Okay, if a character in this model attribute gains the warlord trait, they can have the craft world warlord trait associated with the craft world he selected instead of a warlord trait from page 119. If a character model has such a warlord trait, replace all instances of craft world keyword on the unit trait with. Basically, if you want to make your own lore, you can still use the attributes from the default, have your own craft world name, basically. But they're treated as being that craft world, which is cool. So they've done that in a way that other people did. People are saying, yeah, but we're using this. They've actually made this like you can do that. There's no arguments at all about how you painted your miniatures. You can say that they're a craft world from here. That's good. Unless the only units in this part of the auxiliary support, heavy detachment and fortification network detachment will gain access to the craft world stratagem associated with you selected. So you're basically, yeah, what I just said. So we'll go with the next one. Children of Cain. Each time a model with this attribute makes a melee attack, an unmodified wound roll of 6 adds 1 damage to the characteristic. Solid. That's good. The Children of Mori Heg. Each time a model with this attribute makes an attack, if that model's unit is below the starting strength, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. That's nice. So again, and you can have 2 of them. So you could have, for example, you could have those 2, and you could be hitting quite hard. The Children of Prophecy. That's the third one. Each time a psychic test will deny the witch test is taken for a psychic with this unit, you can reroll any or all dice results of 1 and 2. That's a good. So you can reroll perils. You can either choose one of them. So if you have a 6 and a 1, you can reroll the 1. I'd have passed that. That's a good one. I like that one. Children of the Open Skies. Add 1 inch move to the move characteristic of the models with this attribute. If the model with this can fly, add 2 to its move characteristic instead of 1. That's good for bikers. Each time an advance roll is made with this unit with this attribute, treat a dice roll of 1 and 2 as a 3 instead. That's good. You're always guaranteed to go 3 inches, extra 3 inches in your advance. Yeah, I like that. That's good. The Diviners of Fate. Each time you make a Strands of Fate roll, if a unit in your army has this attribute, excluding agents of the Eldari and unaligned units, you can roll 1 additional d6. That's cool. It doesn't say you have to keep it though, so you'd have to discard that extra one. So, but it gives you more option, I think. Add 1 to the leadership the elite citizenry. Add 1 to the leadership characteristics of models with this attribute. Each time a unit with this attribute is selected to fight, you can re-roll 1 hit roll when resolving that unit's attack. That's not too bad. There's some better ones here. The expert crafters. Each time a unit with this attribute is selected to shoot or fight, you can re-roll 1. So basically, that's the same as other ones. You can re-roll a wound and you can re-roll a hit. That's not there. They're always handy. It's better to have it than not have it. Each time a combat... Sorry, I keep forgetting the names. Grim. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this attribute, add 1 to the combat attrition test. That's good. So basically, you're adding 1 to the leadership so you might not lose people. Good. Hail of Doom. Each time a model with this attribute makes an attack with a shuriken weapon, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds a target and is treated as an unmodified wound roll of 6. Cool. That's good. So you, with a shuriken weapon, so that's really good. You automatically wound a person on a hit of 6. That is cool. The wound's treated as having a roll of 6, and I believe the AP is better with shuriken weapons. We'll have a look at that later, but I think that is true. Shuriken weapons, when you do a wound roll of 6, it is a better AP by either 1 or 2. I think it's 1, which is not bad because they are naturally -1 with just the catapults, and the cannons are -2, so making it -3. That's cool. That's really cool. Headstrong. You can reroll the advance and charge rolls made for this unit with this attribute. Yeah, that's good. Extra movement. You can help you some charges. That's a very close combat-y one. Hundreds of the ancient relics. While a unit with this attribute is performing an action, that unit can shoot without the failing action. Again, we've explained that. That's good. Masterful Shots. Each time a model with this attribute makes a range attack, the target does not receive the benefits of light cover against that attack. I like that one. So, for example, if you've got your shuriken cannons, you can, in fact, just ignore the cover. So that means it's light cover, isn't it? Benefits of light cover, yeah. So it doesn't ignore dense cover, but it ignores light cover, which is good. That's really good because you tend to be in more light cover than dense cover half the time in the games that I've played anyway. The Masters of Concealing is the next one. Each time a ranged attack is made against a unit with this attribute, if the attacker is more than 12 inches away, then that unit with this attribute is treated as having the benefits of light cover against that attack. So that's one that takes away. That one you gain the cover. So again, you could take those two, and then that would be quite an interesting one. Or you can combine these all together. It's really quite cool how the GW are encouraging you to do this, because these are not bad rules. They're no better or any worse than the actual default craftworlds, which I like. I mean, Aiden seems to be the one that's missing, but we'll see about that in a minute. So we did Concealment. Mobile Fighters. Each time a model with this attribute makes an attack, if that model is disempowered from a transport this turn, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. That's a bit of a sneaky one. I like that. That's quite a good little sneaky one. Good for your close combat armies. Oh, it just says attacks roll, so shooting and everything. That's good. Each time a model with this attribute makes Savage Blades. Each time a model with this attribute makes a melee attack, if that model's unit made a charge move, or was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, improve the armor penetration by 1. So that's good. So anything that's AP 0 becomes now AP 1. Anything with more AP added extra. I always like AP. There's quite a lot of invulnerable saves, but it's still quite cool. Forcing people to take them invulnerable saves is quite handy, because then they're more chance to lose that. Swift strikes. If you're in your shooting phase, each time a unit with this attribute is selected to shoot, unless it fell back this turn, until the end of the phase, it counts as having remained stationary. That's kind of like battle focus. I like it. It's quite good. Students of the Vault. Each time an attack with this damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to a vehicle, add 1 to any armor saving throws against that attack. Ooh, they've kind of done a mini all is dust all here. So basically, your tanks, anything with a damage 1 characteristic, they are going to get better saving throws, which is always good. Makes things harder to wound it, because you see it quite a lot. People just finishing off a model with a couple damage 1 characteristics, but it's going to make that harder. Okay, the superior shurikens. Add 3 to the range characteristic of all shuriken weapons models in that unit are equipped with. So basically, you just get an extra range with all your shuriken weapons. If you want to go shuriken heavy, definitely go for this, because you're going to get plus 3 inches, which can make all the difference in all honesty. That's cool. I like that one. The wading runes. Models with this attribute have a 6+ invulnerable save. Each time model with this attribute would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. Roll 1d6 on a 5+, that wound is not lost. Cool. That means you guarantee you a roll of a save. Might not be a good chance of getting it, but you're still rolling. And on a 5+, you can ignore any mortal wounds. The Webway Warriors. When a reinforcement unit with this attribute is set up on the battlefield for the first time until the end of the turn, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. Like it. I wouldn't choose it myself, but there's other things in here that we can do. Wrath of the Dead. Wraith construct units, excluding aircraft units with this attribute, are eligible to perform heroic interactions as if they were a character unit. Ooh, that's quite cool. That is quite cool. I like that. So that is all of the abilities for your far-flung craft worlds. That's what I'm going to look forward to experimenting with all of these. I'll probably use all of these once at least, and then choose my favourite. But to be honest, I would kind of like to go with this one, where I can make my craft worlds like these. This is my favourite in this book for me. This is my favourite. And if I liked all bikers, I'd go for that. So, we've done the craft worlds. Now we're on to the Ynnari. So, I think I missed this for the first lot of craft world. No, I didn't. That's the detachment abilities. The Ynnari are here. So, let's have a look at this. What are we doing for time? Okay, cool. So, a craft world detachment from this unit is from the Ynnari can also include Harlequins and Drukhari. Units with the Witch Cult, Drukhari units, Incubi units, and Scourges units can be included. You need to have their Codex for that because they're not included in here. But for each one of these units, you must also include an Asunari unit, the same battlefield role. Wow, okay. Ynnari's detachment includes any of these units are still considered to be an Asunari detachment, but the following additional rules apply. So basically, before we get any further, if I want a unit of Cabal Warriors, I need a unit of Guardians as well. There's no choice about that. To make it legal, I have to have both choices. That is cool. Interesting. It kind of guarantees that you're not... I see what they're doing. It guarantees that you are not just bringing your Drukhari and playing them with the new rules, because they are Drukhari. So it's kind of a little... Oh, Jesus. Curse my movements. So that is kind of a security option to make sure that you're not just bringing an old army to play the new rules. So there's no arguments that can be included in that. Let's carry on. The Ynnari's Harlequins and Drukhari units included in the Ynnari detachment loses their Cabal and Witch Cult faction keyword. If they had one, it gains the Ynnari faction keyword. Note, because the Ynnari keyword is considered to be a replacement for the Craftworld keyword, these units will gain command attributes as specified on page 84. Okay. They'll gain the Craftworld attributes that you can do. Okay. The Psykers cannot know any powers from the Runes of Fate discipline, but can know powers from the Revenant discipline instead. One of the other disciplines they have access to, for example, when generating psychic powers from a Unari Farsi model, can select powers from the Revenant and Runes of Fate disciplines, but never from the Runes of Fortune. But they cannot take any from the Runes of Fate. So I think that's like Guide and Doom and all that. They can't take them. They have to take. They lose that ability to take from that. The Harlequin's transport models in the Unari Chapter lose every instance of the CDAF keyword from the transport on their data sheet. Unari Harlequins cannot be given a pivotal role upgrade. Okay, and Drakari units cannot be given any Lords of Commonwealth or Favoured Retinue upgrades. Okay, so you can't take upgrades from their Codex, basically, which is good. I keep moving the camera. I do apologise, guys. I'll see if I can move it a bit better now. Move it up a little bit more. No, my camera's being funny. Okay, cool. Right. So then it goes to, you cannot include any Phoenix Lord models, Amphion units, or Avatar Kane models, Solitaire models, or named characters that do not have the Unari keyword in their detachment. Right, so you don't get Avatars of Kane. You lose certain things if you want to do this. You can't include them, which makes sense, to be fair. Very fluffy, but of course you still get some pretty good tough units and some pretty good combinations. As regards to transports, craftworlds can only go into transports for Asunari, same with the Unari, and same with the Drakari. They can only go in their own transports. So you can't have a Wave Serpent that transports a Cabal unit. Yeah, so... Yeah, and then the characters, so like for the Unari, they can go into any transport. Which makes that handy, that's good. Otherwise you'd have no choice but to leave them out. The Murderers and Mercenaries ability. If you're playing a match play game or a game that uses points limit, then the points values of the Unari, Incubi or Unari Scourges units are increased as shown below. So Incubi have got a +4 points model, and the Scourges have a +2 points. I think that is added on to the points that they have from the other Codex. Okay. If you're playing power ratings, add 1 to the power rating of each of these units for every 5 models that unit contains. Okay, so they're going to be a little bit more costly. I don't know. I'll probably never do it because I kind of like just the idea of the craft worlds myself. But we'll see. Might happen one day. The strength from death at the tribute. At the start of the fight phase, if a unit of this tribute is within engagement range of any enemy models, it can fight in that phase. Each time an attack made of a model with this tribute, if that model unit is below starting strength, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Oh, not too bad. That's pretty good. The more hurt they get, the more mean they get. That makes a lot of sense. The Warlord trait is Warden of Souls. At the start of your command phase, this Warlord regains 1 lost wound. Good. When this Warlord is selected to fight, if enemy units within engagement range of this Warlord are below starting strength until the end of the phase, add 1 to the Warlord's strength and attacks characteristics. So that is pretty brutal. I like that one. So basically, more damage done, he gets even meaner. The Relic is the Lost Shroud. So this is only Unari models only. Subtract 1 damage from characteristic of an attack to a minimum of 1, so anyone that's going to hurt you. If this attack has an unmodified damage characteristic of 1, add 1 to your armor saving throw made against that attack. So yeah, so I've covered that. So damage 2 weapon, for example, becomes damage 1, and if you have a damage 1 weapon, then you just get a +1 to the armor save. You can't make it any worse than 1. Inevitable Fate is their stratagem. Use this stratagem when a Unari unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model with this unit makes an attack that targets a unit who was below half strength When the model's unit was selected to fight or shoot, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. Basically, yeah, so that is... So the more damage you do to units, the more you're going to do, because it's going to get even better and better. So that's pretty brutal. It's a very punishing army. And then here's an example of the detachment. So if you have a Yervain, you need an Autarch. If you have a Calabite Warriors, you need Storm Guardians. Elites, you can have, seems you can have that. And then like for fast attacks, Skyweavers and Vipers. So basically, most of the time you're going to have to add the alternative in the Dark Eldar Codex. Or Dark or Drukhari. Yeah. There's just an army example of what you can do. Then there's... Oh, here we go. Harlequins. So now, we need to address this. Harlequins did have their own codex. First they started out with a supplement, then they had a codex. And now they've been integrated into the Eldari codex. So, I know a lot of people are a bit upset about it. I personally prefer that because I didn't like what they've done with the Space Wolf Codex, for example. You had to have the Space Marine Codex, then you had to get that. So you had to bring 2 books with you. This way, you can have a Harlequin's army, no problem. But you only need to have the 1 book, which is good price-wise. So let's have a look at the detachment abilities. So Harlequin's attachments will gain the lead roll ability. CDAF, units with the Harlequin's attachment gain the CDAF characteristics ability. So basically that's just saying that your guys will gain it. The CDAFs, if your army is Battleforged, CDAF units in Harlequin's attachment gains access to the following rules. Okay, I have to read the rest of this. This unit from your army's following CDAF is the following same CDAF. If every CDAF unit in the Harlequin's attachment is the same CDAF, that detachment is referred to as a CDAF detachment. So here's the characterizations. We'll gain the following rules. The Warlord traits. Oh, it's got Warlord traits. Every CDAF has an associated Warlord trait. Character model gains a Warlord trait if it has the relevant CDAF Warlord trait instead of the Warlord trait from page 119. So a lot of reading, guys. Each CDAF is associated with the treasures. So basically the relics they can take. And here's the thing, note that the relic, you still have to buy the upgrade. You still have to buy, so for example, if you want the Power Sword relic, you still have to buy a Power Sword included in your list, and then it replaces the characteristic of that weapon. Okay, so just so we can clear that up, there is the Light, Blaze of Light. Each attack made against a unit with this characterization, if the model is more than 12 inches away of an unmodified hit roll, an unmodified hit roll of 1 and 3 for the attack never fails, irrespective to the abilities of the weapon models making that attack they may have. So I need to... Basically, it's... making the attack. So I have to reread that. Each attack made against a unit with this characterization, if the attacking model is more than 12 inches away, an unmodified hit roll of 1 to 3 for attack fails, irrespective of the abilities. Ah, okay, so it's like, it is basically transhuman physiology. Basically, they're not getting wounded on a 1 to 3. That's handy, that's good. Especially when they're only toughness 3, so you're getting quite a good benefit there. Each unit with this characteristic makes a normal move or advanced move in the following shooting phase. The unit counts as having remained stationary. So again, they're very fast moving. So you can get them quite up the board and they can just rain down a lot of fire. The Warlord trait is Player of Light. This Warlord is eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it is within 6 horizontally and 5 vertically, instead of 3 and 5 vertically. Each time the Warlord makes a heroic intervention, it can move up to 6. That's the same as last time, so they can do 6-inch heroic interventions, and then if it has done this, it adds 1 to the strength and attacks characteristic. That's brilliant. So similar to the other abilities in the book, but this is for the Harlequins one, so that is really cool. The relic is Shadowstone. Add 3 to the range bearer's aura's abilities to a maximum of 9 inches. Each time a player successfully manifests a psychic power from the Phantasmy discipline, add 3 to the range of that psychic power's effects. So basically you are getting longer range psychic powers. That's cool. And for the stratagem, there are the reflections. 1 command point. Use a stratagem on your opponent's charge phase when a light unit from your army is selected as a target of a charge. If that unit is not within engagement range of any enemy units, it can make a normal move up to 6 inches until the end of the phase. That unit cannot fire away Overwatch or set to defend. Your opponent then can select new targets for that charge. Interesting. That's quite a cool one. Basically it can move back if it needs to, so you can get out of charge range. I like that. And then that's the light version of the Harlequins. Then we have the dark, which is the characterization is dark deeds. Each model with this characterization is destroyed by a melee attack. If that model has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model's unit is finished making its attacks and is then removed from play. So basically it guarantees your guy's going to get some attacks in, even if he does get killed in that battle. That's never too bad. The Wraithlord player of the dark, each warlord makes a melee attack of unmodified roll of 5+. That target suffers. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I've not finished the dark deeds one. Each time a model with this characterization makes a melee attack, improve the armor penetration of that attack by 1. So that better armor piercing. That's good. Now we'll go on to the warlord trait, player of the dark. It's the Ghoul Mask. Each time a warlord was... Oh, it's got 2 relics. I do apologise. Oh, sorry, I'm getting rather tired. I've made a big mistake. Warlord trait, player of the dark. Each time this warlord makes a melee attack on an unmodified wound roll of 5, the attack suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. That's cool. And then so he's causing a lot more damage on 5+. That's brilliant. That is really good. And then the relic is the Ghoul Mask. In your opponent's psychic phase, the bearer can attempt to deny 1 psychic power as if it were a psyker. If the bearer is a psyker, it can attempt to deny 1 additional power for each of your opponent's psychic phases. So it can do 2 basically, or if it can deny 2, it can deny 3 now. The bearer has the following ability: Hideous Form Aura. Or enemy unit within 3 of this model, that unit loses objective secured ability. Oh, that's trippy. That is that will cause a lot of annoyance to people who have objective secured terminators like I do. And then the stratagem is the Silken Knife. Use this stratagem at the start of the charge phase. Select 1 enemy unit until the end of the phase. Each time that enemy unit is selected as a target of a charge, that enemy unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend. So you can't Overwatch them. That's cool. And then the third and final one is Twilight. And let's have a look. So each time a unit with this characterization fights, if it made a charge move, was charged, or perform a heroic intervention in this turn, until the fight is resolved, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in that unit. Each time a model with this characterization makes a piling or consolidation move, it can move an additional 2 inches. So instead of piling 3 inches, it can do 5 inches, which is pretty good. And consolidation is pretty good. They can get a bit further. That's quite cool. The Warlord trait is the player of the Twilight. While this Warlord is on the battlefield, each time you or your opponent spends any command points to use a stratagem, you can roll 1d6 for each command point spent. On a 6, you gain 1 command point. So that's a command point fishing one. That's pretty good. And it's for each one. So if someone spent 2 command points, you roll 2 dice. That's really good. While this Warlord is on the battlefield, each time you roll 4 or more dice for a Luck of Laughing God roll, which is 144, you gain 1 command point. That's pretty cool. So we'll finish this and we'll go on to 144. The Twilight Fang is the relic. Model with the aeldari power sword only. This relic replaces the additional power sword that has the following weapon profile. Range melee, type melee, it's +2 strength, -3 armor piercing and 2 damage. And the ability is each time the bearer fights until the fight is resolved, add the current battle round number of attacks characteristic on the bearer. Wow. Okay. So like say you're in battle round 3, you're adding 3 attacks to that fight. That's really good. And imagine it on battle round 5. Brutal. And then finally the stratagem is Malicious Frenzy. Use a stratagem when a Twilight unit from your army is selected to fight. Each time a model with this unit makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Wow, that is really good. I like that. So we'll go to page 144 and then we're going to finish the video off there because it is getting rather long. So where is Laughing Gods? Here we go. Look at the Laughing God. Okay, so if every unit in your army is a Harlequinzy keyword and is performing the same Sadif, including the unaligned ones, then at the start of the battle round you gain a number of luck rerolls depending on the size of your battle. Ah, okay, so it is the same basically as the Eldar ability. So you roll 6 dice and you get to keep certain of them for the size, and then that's rerolls, I believe. Yeah, they're rerolls. So on a 6 you get a reroll. That's cool. Right, so that is pretty good. Again, I can't do the whole lot because we've not even gone through the stratagems and it's already an hour into the video. So what we're going to do is we will start off with stratagems, then in the next video, then we'll start with all these, and we'll go through that, and then that'll be video, and we'll have a little look. Yeah, there's quite a lot in here. So that'll be the video for today. The next part will be coming up tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching this video, and keep on forging.